Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to, was it BeoTalk 298?
That's it.
I hope everybody's doing well. Uh, Feeling, go buy a cover at Skinny Play. Use the link and promo code to get 10% off and buy yourself something nice if you so desire. If not, then don't.
That's it.
And,
Join us on
then,
Discord.
oh yeah, oh yeah, I nearly forgot. Like my mind was totally somewhere else.
Yeah, we're at 980 people now. I think it's moving.
A lot,
It's,
yeah.
yeah, it's moving up. It's good.
We're nearly at 1,000.
Yeah, I know. There's a section open for documentation where I'll be posting a lot of stuff that I'll find, I dig up and find interesting.
Well, especially the manuals for older things are quite useful, right? Because I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
a lot of us are sort of.
People that have master link or master control link, or so there's those manuals now or handbooks posted on the and BeoLink handbook as well, the version 2.1, which is the final one. That's it. No more of that. Where all the network link is explained, the NLML converter explained, blah blah blah, how to pin out, trim out, do all the shit with the cables. It's good times. It's a good well of information, I would say, and one of those Beo Bibles, I would
Yeah.
say.
Also, thank you, Max, for making that.
Yeah, dude, that was a good call, a very good call.
Uh,
So yeah, dip
leave,
in.
leave a like and subscribe and that sort of thing.
That's it. Don't forget that. Boost the show.
uh, how was your week?
It was all right. Uh, I was digging Monday, I think. Yeah, Monday I was in the shop, so I was digging a little bit around, and I found that Biosound Theater surround fine tuning, the handbook or whatever, the little manual that I also posted on Discord, and I reset everything Friday night. I dropped my girlfriend off to Mexico on Thursday, so I was home alone. I'm like, fuck it, man, I'm going to do it, and I'm gonna set it up the way that even that there's a little video, and I don't know, I'll see if I can get a permission to post it because it's for internal use only, but I find it's very I don't think it's I don't think it's a good idea to keep that video on a down low because it's a very, very informative video. It's an interview between Christian and Jeff regarding how to set up the speakers and how you do it when you tune it. In I guess the gist of it would be it is described in a manual, and when sometimes the theater reads the speakers in incorrect positions, you have to go in and what it's also suggested when you're doing it on the couch per se, to reduce the surround speakers by the distance of the edges of the couch. So if you have people sitting on the couch, then lower that distance by whatever 20 or 30 centimeters or half a meter, whatever, however big your couch is to each side. So then the surround speakers, I mean, shorter the distance from those surround speakers to the sweet spot, and then they basically reach the couch at the same time, so you don't have a perception that you're hearing the rears louder than you're hearing the fronts. And also do it with the dB meter. Get an app. Phones are fine. I've
Yeah,
tried to
because it's
do it.
just relative to one another, not actual
Yeah, and
output.
and and basically how you do it, and it suggested that you set your center channel to 65 dB volume. So you put that dB at zero as far as the up or down, and then you go with the remote till you hit 65 dBs on your reader,
Mm-hmm.
on your dB reader, and then you match all the speakers within the theater that are being used to that dB level. And then it's perfect. And I did watch some old movies. Like I watched Matrix first one and I watched the Matrix second one, but they're very nicely done acoustically as far as the surround goes. And I actually ended up changing. Here, why don't I share the screen? Let me see,
Are you
because
going to
I
share the
have
new
this.
version of the app that we're also jolly about?
That's exactly where it's going. So here you are, and I will take
uh,
my phone because it's easier to navigate.
One moment, please. Uh, Wait.
It should be sharing.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I need to put it in a source, right?
Yeah.
There we go. That should do it. Yeah.
Perfect. Coolios, so that we can stack up there. So what's changed is I like the new zoom in and zoom out feature of it. Obviously, you have your my buttons there. Can you see the mouse on this?
Yeah, it's very slightly.
The little dot. Yeah, that's the pen mouse. But I guess if I do it with my mouse pointer, you can't see the mouse pointer, can you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so the stations are presets. The weird thing I find, they don't really work with the pen. You have to actually press and hold with your fingers to get them into the favorite settings.
Mm-hmm.
And there you can obviously do everything except including the atmosphere and what position to load for, which I think I forgot about that. I also created Sofa Atmos and Sofa Music as extra, which this should be that. And I'll explain those in a second. Excuse me. So this is how it all changed. Now, this is what shows the current listening position that the theater is in state of right now. And it was because I was watching YouTube and I have it set, the my buttons basically, it's set to speech as well, under the source behavior. So this is also weird. I don't know if, yeah, I can change it here. And what I found, not just in advanced, but also in sound, the surround, the height, and the envelopment currently have no function. I cannot, the sliders have no effect on the theater sound. I think it's a bug, of course, because the only thing that works is stage width. That really affects if you go from 0 to 10, or, you can, if you're tuning it, you can hear the difference. But these three here, 1, 2, and 3, do not have any effect currently as of Saturday morning when I woke up to this new look of the app. I like the floor stand deal as far as the turny. The software update tab should be deleted from
Speaking
this page.
about your icon, right? Like, I can turn my floor stand and that works just fine, but I cannot for the life of me get this icon
Beautiful.
still.
It looks beautiful, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's bloody annoying.
I like how it's smooth, it zooms and everything. It's really nice. Really, really nice. So sound should stay. Software update should be deleted from this completely because it has no need to be there. And as far as the listening presets, now it's just called listening, which I think that should correlate also to the update on the Beo Remote 1 as far as what it shouldn't be speaker, it should be just listening then. That's what it should be called. And here, if you tap, what I like that if you slide now, you can delete it or edit it. And if you go to edit, that is where you see your speaker assignments, and you have 8 out of 14 speakers being used. So 14 speakers is everything.
Including the virtual ones, I found out.
Yes.
Because I was like, how the hell do I have 21 speakers attached?
Right? No. It's plus 4 extra virtual ones. Also, for the people that are with the 50s, what was said in that video is, and I think it's also in the manual, that you should essentially delete your room compensation filter from whatever presets you have 50s included in, because 50s do it better than the theater, I guess, for that sweet spot. Yeah, that's what's in the guide. We'll go through that PDF as well, just for the shits and giggles. But yeah, this is so under show more options now, you have your rerun room settings, which I also found that if I rerun the room sense, it's not supposed to change the dimensions based on the manual that it's published now on the Discord.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, for some reason, it changed because I took screenshots of what the measurements of each speakers were before I did that and after I did that. So here is how much they are, where they're sitting at by default. And that's the kitchen preset. I didn't really mess with that much. The 18s are basically right front and left front because they are past where the microphone sits, so the theater does see them correctly as a left and right front speaker. And then you have all these other ones going as far as the surround and left surround height, which are, the up firing and side firing speakers. And then obviously I don't use any of those because that's more or less it's very accurate to where you sit. I found that's why I did other room comp, and then also have room comp and bass management. I left the bass management in 120 just to see what changes, and I can't see really much to change when you go to the speakers or presets. I guess I don't see much changing other than overriding or upping the dB levels of what's it called? Let's go to Sofa for a second. The dB levels of the bass redirection. And it's also suggested in that video that they're talking about that if you're redirecting speakers by, let's say, I do redirection level. It started off at I think 12 here, so I redirected it by 8, but I went to every speaker and redirected the same amount of bass level down.
3,
which
in other words.
So 4 down for each, 4 dBs down on each.
Yeah.
And that brings the bass up to all the speakers instead of if you just like I had overwritten or put my dB redirection levels to 0 on the 18s, they were pumping the bass a lot more. That's why why can I not get the sound equal the same on the same listening preset? And the trick is in doing the redirection levels all at the same time, well, one by one, of course, but increase them all by the same value of redirection. So then basically you elevate the entire capability of the speaker system, not just a pair, let's say, in the front or back, or subwoofer makes more, and then it starts to become localized because it's woofing too much, and you get into these well, where the fuck am I with these sliders here now, right?
Yeah.
And I highly recommend doing this like I did. This is the original measurement, and this is the one that I had created as a copy, and basically assigned. There's up to 12 speakers assigned because I had gone down to my virtual speakers and assigned them a roll 2, because where I sit when I watch a movie, I sit basically right behind myself here in the couch, and I'm center on the screen and equal distant from the 18s. So that virtual, the beamforming really works well. And I still have to play around. I did play around with speaker preset for music, which is on Sofa when I forget what. Let me see here. Let's go to edit again.
That swiping is kind of annoying because you can't swipe
It
out
is.
of any menu.
No, it's a little bit, it's hanky, but I'm actually dealing with it pretty well considering that I'm using the mouse to do it.
Like if you swipe, because you can swipe this down right now.
Yeah.
And if you then go to software update, you can't swipe back. You have to
go back, but that's what I'm saying. This should be deleted from here completely. That should be under settings.
It doesn't matter. Even if you go to sound, you have to use the back arrow again. You can't bloody swipe. So it's half swipe, half non-swipe now, and it's really annoying.
It's a little confusing. Yes, I agree. So that's all the presets, and then lounge is all the way. The theater turns towards the other seat of the couch. Table is towards the kitchen table here. And for table, I'm only using the theater on its own with the subwoofer, the Lab 11 just on the side. But yeah, overall okay with the look. My Deezer worked normally because I couldn't you weren't able to search.
Yeah, I'm not the only one either, apparently. Apparently this is an Apple thing, most likely.
So yeah, S24 Ultra, baby. That's the flow. That's where it goes. But yeah, other than that, it works. I like it. Like I said, the software update is a redundant tab that shouldn't even be there. It should be under settings. I think they should move it on all Mozart platform, because if you go to Emerge, it's the same deal, right? Where it has the software update tab for no reason here. It should not be there,
I
in my
don't
opinion.
want to be super demeaning, but maybe they put a high value on the software updates.
I don't know, man, but it's not right. I don't think it should be there, in my opinion, at all.
I'd much rather see the sound info, like uh,
Yeah, it
what's
should
the
be
bit
as
rate and stuff, because that is
yeah,
also now something you can see.
and you can't see it in here. You have to go. So it's a little bit counterintuitive because that sound that you're looking for information is under settings, under signal info,
Yeah.
and I think that should be replaced by the bloody uh, software update tab.
Yes.
Because I also go into it, and the reason why I go into it, because I don't know how some movies are encoded, right?
Yeah.
And it makes a big difference how I set up the Sofa Atmos versus Sofa regular. For like, this is more or less for like regular surround Dolby, I guess not DTS, right? Because we don't really shake hands with that. And the Atmos is one for Dolby Atmos movies. So, and it's interesting that this one on the regular movies, the bass is boosted for some reason very much, but it doesn't do that on when I'm playing Atmos movies. And the values are slightly different, obviously, for speakers as far as the over the redirection levels and so on, for each preset, just more or less to play with it, and not even the redirection as much as the Atmos has those virtual channels enabled and assigned. So I guess if we go to Sofa for a second, this is what the speaker assignment should be, according to the manual. You shouldn't have anything set up for left and right ups side firing.
Not surprising.
It makes no sense, but I had them set up as left and right because I'm like, make it wider, but it's just, it is a weird difference. Like, it sounds good, but once you listen to it without, it's like, okay, they still play for some reason, but it's just, it maybe is playing, I guess, with the room comp filter on it, right? To beamform.
Yeah.
And
So it's not actual sound, it's more like energy
yes,
cancellation.
yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking it is. And then you have your left and all the virtual channels, which are not employed by default, right?
Yeah,
And
true.
then room comp, you can disable it and listen to it without and with. And for me, it makes a huge difference with the room composition filters on
Yes.
in this apartment. Huge difference, especially on the bottom level or bottom end of the whole musical scale or sound scale. So that's I guess that's a more or less a rundown of what the app does now, or how it looks and so on.
By the way, you have an alarm set for 1 a.m.
Yeah, this is an alarm that let's see if we can. I like the new interface of it a bit. So this is just all standby for everything at 1 o'clock in the morning, just in case
Oh,
I either fall asleep or whatever. So it goes at 1, and then it's interesting enough that can I
that
do it
is.
again? Yeah.
It's kind of not an alarm in that sense. It's more a home automation feature.
Yeah, and the same thing, but only on Sundays and Saturdays. I have it done for 2 in the morning. So it does the same thing, all standby, and then it displays it here as well. It was different yesterday.
I thought you had something weird to do, like go to like an airport or something.
No,
Because
no,
who
no,
the
no,
hell
no,
sets an alarm for 1 a.m.?
no. It's a standby alarm, but you can do, like I said, in here you can do. I don't know why it's. Oh, there we go. Crash, boom, bang. There we go. So under the alarm, I have no timers. I don't know what the timer is. So it's the same thing, because you can standby living room, all standby, and you can just do pick either a playlist to start or a radio to start. So
Interesting.
how is the timer different from alarm?
I guess you can tell your kid you have an hour and a half of TV, and it auto
Alarm.
shuts off.
Can it play the chime like it used to, or no? No. So these are the same. Can we create another? Let's create an alarm. Does it? No, it doesn't do nothing. It doesn't have the, like the old ones. Old ASC platform had the BeoTime chime in them. Interesting. This one doesn't.
Sandeep says also with no stand here, the page looks different on my app. The sound mode is an unlabeled black circle, and that's it. No text beside it.
So you gotta go all in, bro. Get those 2 buttons, fix everything.
Wait, I don't. Sandeep, do you also have the 2 arrows left and right? Because if you do, that is weird, right? Like you shouldn't have that. No arrows. Okay.
How do you check it? Just a tap. Okay.
Does any of you in chat have Deezer, and are you on the latest beta update? Can you search on iPhone? I know a few people on Discord already said they couldn't.
Yeah, I don't, like I showed it earlier, I don't have an issue searching for anything. Let's go just for that.
Are your sources populating when you go to like the black screen in your down living room? Yeah. Because a lot of people saying with the latest update, all sources are gone again.
You know what I miss, and I understand the logic that you have. What are those non-distinctive, whatever the fuck that word was that they used for the sources? Because your music is here, right? But you have to get out of the black screen in order to, let's say, turn on Deezer, right? Whatever. And this, in my opinion, should show, or at least when you tap on it, like what mood is that supposed to mean? Because I don't know what that does.
Are you feeling blue, red, orange?
Right? And then some of that stuff just turns on like hillbilly stuff, man, for me, and it's not fun.
Maybe he thinks you're kind of a hillbilly.
I guess so, Alberta, yeah. Yeah, non-determinative sources, which I guess these would be considered as those under that screen. But then, like instead of having just a TV tab, make a TV and music, so then you can just tap down music and then select your music tab and music sources. Because I don't have line. You know what? Fuck. Let's enable line input and see where does that show up. Because I don't have a line input. Come on. Let's grab you. Bloop. No. Okay. This is like. There we go. Okay. So now let's go to source behavior and confirm everything's cool. Let's put this to sofa music. And that's it. So let's see. Where does that populate? Okay, so now it gives you a tab for line in. But how is it that the radio and Deezer is not a local source or and then another thing that I'm wondering what's up with that is give me 1 second, let me get there. Is if we go to source behavior just per se, why is there Tidal and Tidal Connect? What are these? Also, when you use
maybe
Tidal,
one is in the screen and one is in the theater.
I use Tidal Connect, and I think I used the button Tidal, and what it did, it essentially redirected me to the DLNA page of the music.
Yeah.
I could not get back to Deezer at all. So that's I don't know if that, but I never visited that thing again just to not see that, you know, I don't fuck up my
Is this
my
like an
thing.
intricate way to sell more remotes?
I don't know, but like if you're selling the more remotes, then those sources should be available on let's see, hidden from music list. See, I only have Spotify Connect because I never put the title in. Okay, so let's do that. No diggity is fine. Okay. So let's put this into the theater. I'm gonna mute it so we don't get bitched at. Okay. Okay, so now it works. Okay, so I'll get out of that. Let's go back to the BNO app. Back. And if I go to music, okay, so it's fixed now.
It does show.
It was blank here before, so it's fixed. Okay, so it shows Tidal now. So now if we go to the black screen here, so screen has this much and music only has line in. So you can't pull up the title back out of the thing unless it's not even shown on the remote. So let's go back to the bloody remote. See if we can see it in the remote control. Sources, once again, music, and then, okay, so it's hidden from here now. Why? See, I can't find it's not there. The title is not there. So if I go to Tidal Connect here, okay, it should be in Sofa Music. I'm not gonna mess with the game. So if I go back, why is it still not there?
Because
Let's
apparently.
shut off the app and see again.
Maybe they don't want you to have it. It's really annoying.
Okay, so let's go back. Title still playing. Only line in. So even the restarting app does not fix the problem. So if we go to settings again, sources, and see if it's hidden, I only have Spotify Connect. So that's weird.
May I say that this
Oopsies. Turn on the shop by fucking accident. Oops. I could shut it down too, but you know, why would I do that?
May I say that this beta feels very much alpha?
Yeah, it's not perfection, that's for sure.
Well, at this point, you're not really looking for bugs, right? Like, just a bunch of stuff doesn't work. And I don't mean like with beta, you're looking for things that don't work right. Certain things just don't work at all.
Well, but for me, it's not even like, is this a bug, for God's sakes? Like, what, you guys don't have a Tidal Connect, even though you advertise it and everything? Like, how do you not include this in the sources? So, okay, we agree on the fact we can't find this on the theater. So let's go back to the shower, and this is an emerge. And oops, not sound settings. And let's go to sources. And here we also don't have, because I haven't streamed into it, so I'll do it on screen here as well so people can see that. We'll go to Tidal up here. You can touch this. This is great. I don't know where this music's coming from, but this is what we have.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh yeah, it's hammer time over here. It's hammer time in the shower. So hold on a second. So I have nothing. Source behavior. I have Tidal Connect in here. So Optimo per se, just for the shits and gigglies. And sources from standby. I can't even select it from here if I wanted to have a Tidal Connect from anything. Can we? Oops, that crashed it. I try to hold the button down to see if I can add it as a source, into my buttons.
Like the way we were meant to do it, like forever.
No. So it crashes on a title. I'm not trying to show what the fuck, but it's just that these are the things that.
Well, we've only had this for like 2 days or something, right?
2 days, and it's let me try this with my hand. So we are now playing the title, right? MC Hammer happening.
I would love if it just gets stuck in the second my button for you.
I fuck. Let's do it again. And hold. No, you can't do it. So yeah, you can't put a my button on from Tidal Connect. You can do it from Spotify. Yeah, you can do it from Spotify. I need another coffee because this is pissing me off. So yeah, good show, everybody. Good show. So yeah, that's it. That's one. And where is this? Oops, sorry about that. I need to find the one that I was going to show. This. So if I go to screen share, switch screen or window, let's do this window instead now.
I mean, I understand that we are testers, but like,
come on,
this is
a wee bit, little bit.
Yeah, this is very alpha. And not in the like, ooh, alpha male kind of thing. No, this is like, I'm not sure you should put this out yet.
Yeah, this was too much, I think, in a way of update.
Well, one thing that I find very odd is like, you're putting in more and more swiping of things, which is fine, right? Because like iPhones are, and Androids for that matter, they're swiping devices.
Yes.
But like, why is only half of it? Because just to me, it tells me that there's going to be a heck of a lot of changes still. Like, so why put this out now? And that's just on the basics of how to get around, right? Like back, forth, up, down.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you can go tap up, down, most things with a swipe, but then back is always like the top left. And if you have one of these bigger phones like an iPhone Max or the Galaxy Plus, whatever the hell,
mm-hmm.
It's in an unideal location. I mean, I have fairly large hands, and I have a fairly regular iPhone
I'm a weirdo
11. But I like it's literally left hand, just back every time.
I'm a huge advocate of the S Pen, bro. I use that. I'm always hands on, both of them. To me, but no button is too far. I don't mind it. But yeah, I know what you're saying. If you're doing it one-handedly, it's a little bit. It gets a little bit too far for the fingers to reach. So some of that is a little bit not as intuitive as it should have been. So
this is a PDF of how to set up the theater?
yeah, this is the document that I found. Oh yeah, I'm on the wrong screen. Can I just do it by pages? Yeah. So here's the index, and that's all the stuff that we can go and cover, and that's more or less everything that has been covered in the video. And here you can see that this is what I was talking for, adjusting for different listening scenarios where you have multiple listeners, how you change the directions or the dimensions of those or distances rather input on each speaker. These are 50s and 28s together with the theater.
Wait, I'm gonna go look at the B&O website right now, because this is now called a television, right? Because we're now in a BeoVision theater.
Mm-hmm.
And
we've never sold those soundbars separately, other than it either went to an existing Samsung panel, or people that had anything else, they just changed it for an LG screen. By the way, we just got the G4s installed. Well, I've installed some of them in the showroom. Unbelievable picture compared to the G2. It's a huge step up. Huge step up. I'm looking forward to like G6 or G8 when this will be due to replace. I'm also thinking of ordering. There's a service kit for it's called the vibration kit, and it's specific rubber grommets. But this takes more or less. It involves taking the goddamn theater off, the VESA mount off of it, taking the theater off the mount possibly, because I'd have to remove those where the screws are attached and replace those grommets, the suspension. So we'll see if that'll. How much of a change compared to a G3? I would say it's significant if you have them side to side. The G4s are, I think they're 4 times the processing speed for picture of the old version. So they are. It's the picture's nicer, definitely brighter in situations you need it bright, but it's I think it's a good step forward. The LGs are sweet, and I honestly think that just like you have those menus in the Harmony, I don't think it's that big far-fetched of a step to be asking to have the B&O app running on the panel where you can change and modify all those things with the remote control, because that microphone is just there for the compensating for what the room does to the speakers or the sound rather at your location, but everything else you still fine tune together. I'll keep this going so people can read through it if they're interested, and I'll just go slowly page by page. So you
I
can
just
see.
looked on the website. There's this technical sound guide, but God, that is a boring read.
Yes, it is.
And this is like much more easy to understand and read.
So this is how you check your speaker rolls, which I was also talking about, and you assign them properly in obviously the logical matter. So in this scenario, they have a set of lab 1s as fronts and set of 17s as the rears or surrounds, and then you see how you change or set up all of your speakers in a specific role that they represent. Also, that is mentioned here as well, again, that the room sense is only when going in a horizontal plane. So you will have a doubling of your surround speakers that are in your ceiling as surround backs or surrounds as well. You just need to reassign them to height surrounds and their corresponding role in the theater setup, and you will be fine. Distance adjustments, we've talked about that, and this is the slider for it. I really like using the S Pen for this, because with actually hands, it's really hard to get into the specific number.
It changes often when you let your finger go.
That's right, and I don't know if there's a way that they can delay that reaction or something, because sometimes you have to like roll your finger on the screen to like fine tune it to, let's say, 264. Oh fuck, 267, son of a bitch, right? Because so with the pen, I find that it's just a super fine point, but that also has a drawback where I can't select listening positions with the pen, because you need a full finger apparently for that button. So there's that.
Strange.
The rules do not make any sense. Notice how all the speakers are always towed into the listening location. This is such a constant battle between, how they look better and what they should be like because they sound better. But that's just the beauty of the B&O, that they sound great no matter what. It's just sometimes here's the little adjustments. Here's the thing that also sucks when you do that. If you try to do it on your phone, you basically need two devices: one tablet that runs the app, and the other one does the measuring for the dBs.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you get out of the B&O's app, the play, it stops as well. So you can't measure with the other app because there's no fucking noise anymore.
So you need an iPad and a phone, or two phones, or
Yeah, be conscious of that, or buy that little bubble stick dB measure, and it's actually a cool idea to have that around. It does the same thing.
How
Man.
loud are
Honestly,
my
it does the
neighbors?
same thing. Exactly. Fun day for kids. They can measure the fart dBs. So yeah, that's also, it should be C-weighted readings as well, and average should be 65 dBs. Let's say you have air conditioning in the house running and it's noisier and whatever. Go to 70 dBs volume on with the remote control when this is set to 0. Center channel is set to 0, and or whatever this value is as far as the basic measurements are. Go and reconfirm them. That's the best way. I've started with that. I left it as it was, and I went to 65 dBs with the volume, and then I checked all the individual speakers, and some of them did need upping, especially the little full range guys needed go a little bit more. So, and here, yeah, it says also that if you need to go up to 70 dBs, it's it'll wash out or wash away all the more or less the noise and such. But that's a good bypass for you doing that with a dB meter.
What I
That
personally
air
do is,
conditioning, that air conditioning will also have a very negative effect if you're doing the room sense, because that microphone needs quiet. So
yeah.
for that, you need quiet.
What I personally do is either turn it off completely, or if it's too hot, like have the AC go balls to the wall for like 20 minutes and then turn it up way high, where it doesn't
Yes.
come on again.
Yeah, you know that it doesn't. Yeah, but that's the best way to do it, especially in the 50s, because they're 90s. They're very sensitive to that. When the AC kicks in, sometimes it messes up the measurement, and you have to redo that whole run again. So
When I
somewhat
lived
feels
on the
that.
12th floor in the Netherlands, right, it could sometimes hear the diesel engines on the ground level.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Diesel engine is the worst when you're trying to set up a BeoLab 5, because that's what it measures for, and it just keeps going. I've had that scenario a couple times. Next page is the room compensation. So there are two: room sense and room compensation. So the room compensation essentially measures the microphone distance, and the room sense apparently, or is it the other way? Yeah, the room compensation. The room sense is the one that measures the distances, and the room compensation, you can actually delete it and measure it somewhere else. Take the microphone somewhere else. It won't change the measurements that you've had to add put there, but for some reason it does it anyways, because I've tried both just in case. I've took screenshots of my speaker measurements prior to just have the microphone where it was, and then I moved the mic further down. I put it on my bed and I measured again, and it reassigned the roles and everything. So, and I've done it in both room sense and room compensation, just like maybe I was doing it wrong in the first time. It still did it the same way. So it does not, again, maybe that's just a bug again, but it's not doing what this manual is saying that it's going to be doing, where you can just reread the room with the microphone moved somewhere else just to get a better response of the system overall, regardless of your speaker distances, because they be set and without a change. So much for the room compensation. For all of you, of course, that are interested in reading this, you can find it on the Discord, and or you can pause this video as you're watching it. The sound modes. This is where I was explaining that also within the app. There are differences, of course, and you can make your own. I'd highly suggest doing them for each music source, because now you can go to the room. The source behavior and you can preset what sound mode do you want that source to load up with, like Tidal, which is you can't really call it off. Maybe it's just the fact that how the Tidal has an agreement with the BNO that it works only from the Tidal Connect, but for some reason it's not a source. I do not understand, nor can explain that behavior, but you can see it in the source behavior where you can set it to just your Tidal sound profile, where you changed all these advanced settings and so on and so forth. You can probably just sit, if you're listening to 2-channel music and you have left and right only, put it to a direct mode instead of true image, where you can just have the purest of the pure going through, and you can save it there and have it defaulted to that. Every time that source is active, it will change automatically within the theater. So that's a nice feature. So
I have a feeling that something got broken in one of the last updates with the automatic speaker groups or listening position selection, which meant in my case almost every time you turn on the TV for whatever purpose, nothing would play. Like you had to switch listening positions.
Did you have your default preset set to something?
Yeah.
Because that I found sometimes I have seen it maybe once or twice in the theaters. We've done a lot of them. I haven't seen it on mine, but I had seen some weird stuff go on still, even with the software that we are at right now. That
I mean, I then switched it to other defaults, and the same thing happened. Like literally nothing played. So I then rebooted the thing and changed it all to the same thing, and then it was okay.
Did you reboot the theater?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like, I don't know what to make of this, because it almost, because you don't have to have, like, because when you can get into your speaker or listening positions, but I still want to call it speaker groups, but you can set your 7 point whatever, 5 point whatever as the standard default, right? And if you then go into sources, it doesn't list that. So I think there was some weird miscommunication where there was a standard default for everything, but since it wasn't applied in the source behavior, it just chose nothing. Because often what would happen is that only the theater would play.
That's interesting. So it just goes like out of the box untuned default mode?
Yeah, essentially. Because the 50s came up, all the 17s came on, and nothing.
That's so weird. Do you have that preset, like theater solo? No.
Do I? I don't know if I do anymore. I did at the old house. I don't think I do now. But I have several presets where the theater isn't even on, right? And at those presets were just quiet, which is weird.
Time to reset the bloody thing, man, and do it all over again.
KCBR says my theater still turns itself off randomly while watching movies.
What source are you using? That's my question for you, KCBR. I'm actually very curious about that. Now, back to the predefined sound modes, I guess. We'll just shoot through the document. We don't have much pages to go through. Anyways, you have obviously movie, music, TV, game, night listening. And then you can also add your own and create your own and modify the Beosonic part of it. And then you can also go to advanced and play with the frequency tilts and so on and so forth. Some of it doesn't really work right now.
Especially in the 5.9 version. It works in the 5.8.2.
Yeah, but the newest face of the app does not have that functionality right now, unfortunately. At least I find in my theater that doesn't. I've actually retuned. I've deleted all the presets from the old, and I remeasured everything, redone everything, and obviously made copies of or duplicates of my listening presets from Sofa, which were one for the music, one for the Atmos. And that's where I had modified within not just the music itself as you have here, but also modify it under the advanced tabs where the stage width and so on and so forth. So that's your predefined modes, and this is the new iPhone 20X Ultra Pro Advanced Super Long version. which shows the entirety of the menu. And
if they
imagine
actually
having a
made it like
phone
a
like
lot slimmer, I wouldn't mind that so much.
that's such a huge phone, bro.
I mean, if you have like a 7-inch phone, right, but it's only like maybe 2.5 inches wide, I'd go for that.
That's so funny.
I mean, it reminds me of my old Nokia phones.
Hmm.
Like this is almost a digital version of that Matrix phone, right? Like,
Pretty much. Look at this. The microphone slides out.
yeah.
That was great. Speaking of Matrix, let me grab my ashtray. But yeah, that's so. This is all the sliders that currently are have been there since the beginning of time. Uh, One by one, I guess the frequency tilt is you go higher on the bass and lower on the treble, and vice versa based on if you're going up or down on the values.
Am I
The
being a bit of a curmudgeon and still not very much liking Biosonic?
I keep my Biosonic at 0. I don't play with it at all. I reside in this area where the true image has an effect. However, the surround slider and height and envelopment right now does not have any effect on anything that you're doing with the sound.
Yeah, but
Maybe it's just a bug, but that's about it.
I mean, I kind of liked the old days where you had bass, mid, and treble, right? And you could just those three. I mean, make some more, make it a bigger EQ essentially, because that's what it does. But I kind of think it's weird that you're moving a ball and you don't really know what's going on. It just says more bass, less treble, or the inverse, or more treble and more bass. But
I guess you can see it more on the PHC side, like Product Health Center, where you can see the plus and minus values of treble, because it's a grid coordinate basically on the X and Y
yeah,
axis.
but as a
Or
regular customer, there's no way to see that.
no, like your shit is yellow, orange, green, blue, or whatever, right? Because the color
Yeah,
changes based on where location on the
and
grid
there's
is.
also no way that I've found, specifically now that everybody mumbles in films, to just boost the mid range a bit where voices reside.
I
I mean,
have an issue with that too,
yes, you can do the voice tab, but the
but
voice
it's I
tab
have a
is
problem
also
with that as
changes
well.
other things, which makes it kind of odd.
Or you do it with the stage width, which collapses it more to the center channel, but then it kind of also makes it weird for the rest of the movie sounds. Like I find so, it's really hard to find the golden middle, and I found that the difference between them primarily for me, viewing as many movies as I did in recent history, is the difference between Dolby Atmos encoding and original 5.1 or 7.1 soundtrack.
Yeah.
Major difference. I highly recommend having a preset for both and just switch depending on what you're watching. Like for me, Netflix, I guess, goes to by default now nothing because I just retuned it. I haven't really adjusted the sources behavior in the Netflix, but I'm gonna choose based on the movie we're watching. If it's going to be Dolby Atmos, I'll switch the preset to Dolby Atmos because it sounds much better, and the beamforming and all this shit, it's insane, right? And
Yeah.
halfway she passes out anyways, halfway through the movie, so she sleeps on my lap.
Don't they
So I
all?
don't care. Like exactly. So I just sit there like I enjoy the whole beamforming experience and the whole bit while she sleeps on, and then wakes up at the end and asks me how did it end. For God's sakes, like
Does he
been
also ask you, like, is this the bad guy or that sort of stuff when the movie just starts?
oh yeah. You get interviewed like it's fucking terrible, man. But that's yeah, there is no slider for that in this menu, unfortunately. So yeah, you all know how you live with your spouses and how it is, and kids too sometimes. So, and this is probably one of the most important pages that we get to, which is BeoSound Theater Standalone, and how you set up the speaker behavior based on Dolby Atmos content and BeoSound Theater Standalone. And as you can see, there is a lot of difference for if you have for 2.0 content is the first column basically, but for Dolby Atmos music, like all the speakers are employed.
Interesting.
All the speakers are employed, and in suggestion B, only the left surround height and right surround height virtual are not employed. And then if you get into the configuration BeoSound Theater standalone for 2.0, 5.1, and 7.1 content, then you can see that a lot of the speakers are not employed. Which I think in this scenario here, it does a lot of beam forming, especially with the virtuals, and here on this one.
Interesting.
So that's what I found interesting within the page itself and the video as well. That this is how, you know,
if we want
you
to
should
get
be
really
setting
high
up.
tech, it should be able to sense what configuration of audio is coming in, and it should be able to adjust on the fly, right?
But I had sometimes where the speakers were read as different roles, or different speakers were assigned different roles in the scenario where I had to go and change the speaker assignment to begin with, and then you know, now I'm a little more educated, I guess, about it because this document is out. So, and I have tried all of these scenarios over the weekend watching movies. It does make a difference, man. It does make a difference.
I'm
and
gonna
then
play with that as well.
and then we have BeoSound Theater with a single pair of speakers, which in this case it's BeoLab 28s, but 18s with the sub are not that far, in my opinion, from it, other than the accuracy and so on and so forth. But for the back channels, you don't really need much. And as you can see also that you have your speakers set up as obviously surround for left and right for the 28s, but there's the difference in there's two scenarios setups for the Atmos Dolby Atmos content, in which in both cases in suggestion A, the left side firing and right side firing speakers are not included in the setup, but all the virtual channels are employed, which basically you're overriding the left side firing by left wide virtual is a left back. Very interesting.
So wait, so this is a BeoSound Theater with a single pair of speakers in the front?
No, in the back.
Oh.
A triangle.
Okay.
So left surround, right surround for the 28s. So then you have left wide virtual is back and right back for the right wide virtual. So to me that's it's interesting, but then again, this is beamforming technology right here. So this is a lot of that also has to do with the surround speakers playing as well. How it all can collapse it into the center phantom channel and so on. It's pretty slick how this scenario works. This is how I have the Atmos set up.
Sandeep has a very valid question. So he says, so they're telling us to create different listening positions for Atmos and non-Atmos. What happened to True Image doing that for all of us?
I think it's more or less a personal listening preference, because you can just you can also go and create position manually without any filters being ever built from the microphone, and do it exactly like the good old BeoSystem 3 and 4 setup, or BeoSystem 1 if you go that far back. A little more advanced, I guess, in that sense, but because you have the redirection levels. At the end of the day, all of those menus are in BeoSystem 4 as far as the bass redirection for the speakers and so on and so forth. It's just you have to go much deeper in the dive into it than what was exposed to you out of the box per se. Where I think the app becomes overwhelming for people with all these now given options. And I do agree that maybe there should be something that through CEC or HDMI or ARC, whatever, based on the signal info, which should be in the front page to begin with, based on the signal info, you should have that automatically switch between those sound modes that you had created for Atmos and for the, let's say,
non-Atmos,
the non-Atmos regular legacy, I guess, legacy surround. Let's just call it that.
Yeah.
So that's what that's where the difference is, and where I think because of how the logic is different with the Atmos and it's more or less spatial assignment of the sound versus the speaker assignment of the role. If you think about it, when it comes to the conventional, it's very per channel. So you have the center, left, and right fronts for the theater, and then you have the left and right back as virtual channels, or none of them included in a scenario B, where the 28s are your surrounds in the back.
It's almost not surprising now reading this that so many dealers set it up wrong because it's so much information. Like they attach.
I've set it up wrong, man. I've had mine set up wrong without even knowing it.
Yeah, it's same here now. Like this is a bunch of information that is new to me.
It was very new to me. But this is how, I'm not saying this is how you should cook your steak, people, but this is the recipe that you can take it or leave it with you. And you know, if you have time to play with it, which, you know, after investing so much money into the theater, and if you have speakers that, you know, are legacy speakers or whatever that you've added into it, I think this is a very good guide to go through and just give it a listen. Create a copy of the listening preset that you have currently, and then just change around and play with it and just go A to B based on what you thought was right and based on what this is suggesting. And I'm thinking you'd be pleasantly surprised. And here we have the listening positions with the BLF 50s and 90s, which is the most important part, is to have the speakers set up in latency mode for automatic. So then the
that
theater,
I did know because that has always been the case.
yes.
That was the case since the Eclipse, even. Because somehow the Eclipse most often was somewhere in between the low latency and high latency.
Yes. So the latency modes, yeah, and then you have, if you put a speaker to high latency mode, then the theater is unable to change it if it's not in automatic mode. Therefore, you have a lip sync issues because the theater processes the sound at a different rate that the 90s take in order for the sound be the best that it can if you have it on high processing or high latency. So that's that. And here's just a page how to navigate to change your latency mode in your current setup as far as you know, your 50s and 90s go. And last but not least page, to delete room compensation filter on the BeoSound Theater. So room calibration considerations with BLF 50s and 90s, which I thought that you calibrate the 90s and 50s first and then you calibrate everything together with it, right? Like that's normally what my logic was to it. But because of the accuracy of the measurements, it's easier. However, so BLF 50s and 90D speakers have their own room calibration filters that are measured in 3 different spots in the room with an external microphone that gives even more precise measurement. If BLF 50s or 90s are connected to the BeoSound Theater, we suggest that you delete the room calibration filter in BeoSound Theater. Ensure that each connected pair of BLF 50s and 90s is calibrated via the configuration page for the speakers.
That to me, in a sense, makes sense, but if you're like me and have 3 other pairs attached to it, do you just forgo room calibration on those entirely? Because that's what they're saying.
Right. That's a very interesting point.
I mean, it's kind of strange to me.
Or do you run the room calibration with only the 17s added and then manually add the 50s through PowerLink? I wonder if that's even possible.
Yeah, but wouldn't that still apply the room calibration to an extent?
No, because it wouldn't know where those speakers are. You would have to enter the distances manually if it lets you do it. But I think there has been a request for a change to have the speakers, to be able to add additional speakers without room compensation being run in the setup. So that would be the only way that well, you could test it if you're hell bent on resetting the theater this week, and see what you can come back with, because I don't have theater connected to the 50s right now. It's a Harmony in the shop.
Yeah, I'm gonna factory reset mine and start all again just to get bugs out and that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Because
But yeah,
it is a bit like I don't know what's going on, and maybe this will help with the icon too, because the floor stand came before the last reset and
hmm,
was just attached to it, and it works, but maybe that's where the weird bug is, and like set it up
I don't
from
know.
scratch again.
I would do it. I would set up everything.
Hmm. It's just
But
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. It's a bit strange. I do like I still have my laser measure and I never got rid of that and stuff like that.
No, no, and those tools are still essential no matter what technology BNO comes up with. So, okay, I'll close this document. Let me just stop screen sharing, confirm, poof, and then we can go back to normal broadcasting. So, yeah, that's a very interesting document I found, and I'm glad to share it because it's something that a lot of people are
That should be on the
maybe
website
didn't
because it
even know
currently
that they're
isn't.
curious. Yeah, I don't think that people even had that curiosity answered in any shape or form. And yeah, but I think that for 50s owners, I think you got to run the room comp first without the 50s or 90s in it, and then add them. Obviously, you had those tuned. If I tell you where I found it, I'll die. No, that document, that's one of those things that came out last week internally, and I found that it really, it's not something that is very much of a secret, to be honest with you. I don't think anything in that information compromises anything. It's just something that I think people have to know, in my opinion, in order to enjoy their theater to the fullest. And yes, I don't know how to do the video because it's internal and such, but video might be a little different than sharing a document. But yeah, the essentially everything that was spoken about within that document was in the video. It's just obviously shown with the app running and so on. So,
I wonder
but
if they
that's,
have an internal view counter because I have a feeling like internally very few people are going to watch that.
I don't know if they do or not, but
Well,
yeah.
a lot of dealers are way too busy to like start quite literally getting a degree in how to set up a theater, right?
But I don't think it's on the dealers themselves. I think it's more or less enforcing it on your installers to watch those things.
But in
That,
Europe, a lot of the dealers are installers.
well, then fucking you gotta watch it, man. Honestly, like there's no ifs and buts about it. I think you can get watch the video over eating a sandwich on lunch. It's I think the video was not even 13 minutes long. Not even.
I mean, I would think it would do some good if it's just up on their YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Because,
but
I mean, here in the US anyway, like if you live in what, Texas, Montana, whatever, like they're going to send you a theater if you pay for it, but
good luck.
yeah, nobody's going to install it for you. And if they are, you're going to pay like $1,500 for somebody to install it, which is insane, right?
Well, you gotta fly a monkey out, right? That's
Yeah,
basically it. So that's
but, which is not
and then
worth it,
how
really.
how good is that person really? How good? It's not even how good, because I don't doubt the level of competence for installing the product, but the acoustic configuration is always a question because it's only as good, just as like mine was up to this point when I found this document. It's only as good as your own understanding of the product and more or less guessing a lot of it. Like we spent a lot of time playing with it in the shop just to make sure that how the fuck do you make it sound right and whatever, based on the same thing, like where the microphone sits in our shop, it's a dead spot for bass. So it's hard for the theater to like you have to move things around and blah blah blah, and how do you know if you don't know?
Yes.
So that's and also with the redirection levels, that you got to raise them all up together, not just whatever speakers you think might be right to raise up. Everything needs to go in the same, because even at the theater, the ones that like how much do you redirect based on the little freaking full ranges. But it's not just that; it redirects with those big woofers that are within the theater itself. So yeah, there's a lot that goes on with it, and yeah, I'm glad to share the document because it's something that it's a very interesting read, and it does work. I had tried it, I played with it, I watched a whole bunch of movies in uh, different modes. I watched some Dolby Atmos movies, and I watched the regular surround, which is the good old Deepwater Horizon, and it sounded great, man. And it's finally like there's enough bass that there's now no vibration really between the screen and the theater, or just the screen more or less. Even though I patted the crap out of it, sometimes it starts a little too much. But
Speaking of bass, I finally found the ABL point of 17s.
yeah,
I had it at. I was playing. What's that song called? A Billie Eilish tune, "All I Ever Wanted," and I was at 75 volume
fuck,
on the
that's
theater,
gotta be nice.
and it was all 17s going as stereo pairs.
Nice.
And that's how I personally found out. Like the app had updated, and the theater was all new, because all of a sudden I was like, "Wait, how the fuck do you make new listening positions in this?" Like, I
Yeah,
don't
you gotta
understand
press
it
and hold.
anymore. Like, where did everything go?
For me, it wasn't a big change because that was, it was forthcoming, and it was already on the all the emerges, and it's already on the BeoConnect core. That is exactly the same interface.
Mm-hmm.
So it was connect
Oh no.
a little bit new, but now that it came out on this, I wasn't surprised, but I'm just like, did I
Yeah,
drop?
but it's very different, right? On like the BeoConnect core and that sort of thing, because like you only have the option for 2 speakers. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
not like where everything is. Like it's just like add some speakers and you're good to go.
Yes.
It's the expansiveness of the theater that makes a minimal design like in 5.9 app very, I don't know, unuseful, kind of hard to deal with.
I think honestly, B&O should their next focus, in my opinion, on a new product should be two things: center channel, WISA capable, of course, with a Biosystem 5. I think they should make a Biosystem 5 because there are limitations to how you can install the theater in a big screen scenarios with the, like, we have a lot of the projectors and scenarios that are going in, and it's really hard to integrate that stuff. Like, it's you're always running some bullshit amp, and that's about it. That's all you can do because there is no, and then like for the music's sake of it, then you introduce the core into the setup as a line input. But if there was a Biosystem 5, you get all the magic of sauce of the tuning and the whole bit that comes with it. And I just don't understand what's the holdup. But I think that should be, make it nice. Don't, it is what it is money wise. I don't see it going below $7,000-8,000, and put 3 puck out at least onto it, and a whole bunch of HDMI's, and maybe even 2 outputs for video, one for the projector, one for the screen. Have a RS-232 capable controller for the trigger and the screens and drop downs and all that, because there is a lot of places where this still does happen. And I think it's
The
that the
very high
theater is
net
very
worth
limited.
individuals are much more likely to have a theater room.
Where the theater really has no place.
Yeah.
That's the problem, because it's, even though it's a beautiful piece of equipment, it's really hard to sometimes integrate it properly into things.
Like if you have one of those, like if you want rich people, like let's say a Shaquille O'Neal or something like that, right? Like their houses are fucking enormous, and
Mm-hmm.
not like big to Europeans, no, like big to like American big houses, where they're like 75,000 square feet. Like that's a house still somehow.
Yes.
mean, which is what, 7,500 square meters for all you Euros. Like that's a mini castle.
Yeah.
So like you're gonna have room. Like not every room can be like 10 by 10 meters minimally, right? Like you're
Hmm.
gonna have rooms where you literally have like, I don't know what to do with this. Let's put a theater in there.
The only thing that they would have to consider in doing is essentially have a some sort of a Bluetooth over RJ45 repeater into that room, because in these setups there is no way that you could ever reach the Bluetooth signal to the Biosystem 5 somewhere in the rack room from the theater. So you would need, because obviously we're not going to go back into IR, even though that would make the most sense,
Or a Halo
because you
needs to be a lot more capable.
or introduce a much more capability with Halo, and that's about it. But I think that they really should consider making an AV system, because there is a lot of sales that we are missing out on. And I see that because in a lot of scenarios, yes, now there's a simple solution. If you go in two channels, yes, now we have a BioConnect core. We don't have to really mess about with an Almando. But I would love to have a capability also for all the owners that have older TVs, older B&O sound systems, man. Why would you have to now? Yes, if let's say there is no possibility to replace it with the Biosystem 3, or I mean, sorry, Biosound Theater. I have a project like that where it's just not possible. They have a projector that drops down, and in front of that is a fucking, I don't even know how expensive artwork, right? That it's on the wall with there's no place to put the bloody Biosound Theater on and make it work. And also, let alone the fact that you can't pull the cables through because it's all wallpaper, like fabric wallpaper and shit. There's no way that you're gonna fucking cut walls and just mud it. Done. No, there is no way in hell to do that. But it would have been possible to do with the Biosystem 5.
Yeah. And going back to Biosystem 4 is kind of, it's a patch, but
It was capable. The only problem that I had with it that they did not include the same AV chip that it was in the Avant, which was 4K capable.
yeah.
Because there should have been definitely, absolutely, 100% a 4K capability on it. It still would have been a good system, even though it doesn't have the HDR. But at the time of the game, B&O didn't really believe in the HDR because the true image, which was a term best still for the video parts of it, it was quite spectacular to what it was doing to the picture on those Avant screens. But that now has changed, and we live in a different world. I'm gonna get more soda. But yeah,
Yeah, like the only way when stuff gets really big is IP, right? Because you like even in those enormous houses, you don't have like network dead spots, not really. And for a
no,
remote, one bar is enough.
exactly. Or make a new remote, make a Bio remote 2, whatever, call it something, and make it Wi-Fi capable, so then you don't have the limitation of Bluetooth.
A lot of these people have, especially in the more theater rooms, right? They have like these sort of thick remote pad things with like a massive screen on and like
Well, usually, yeah, with like Savant system or whatever, you just basically have an iPad in a theater
yeah,
that's your remote.
and they're not exactly pretty, but they work. So if you make anything pretty, like it can be thicker, it's fine. Like it doesn't have to be all this tiny and sleek thing, especially God, like you probably want if you're really serious for the very high net worth individuals, you want half the NBA, right? Like these people have mitts that grab like basketballs with one hand. Like imagine operating a B remote one when your hand is that size.
In dark,
Like
because
your
it's a
middle
theater,
finger
right?
covers the whole like numpad, right?
Oh, you're just mushing the buttons. You're not pressing anything really selectively, like other than like unless you have a little pendant that you walk with and you just jab on with, like, to select the buttons. But it's yeah, the Bio Remote one I think needs a little bit of a revamp for a little bit wider, and just have the as far as the tactile feedback improvement, it's very very necessary. and or at least backlighting that. So that's one thing. But yeah, with the I think if they come up with the BeoSystem 5, they need to consider something that is that has a Bluetooth extendable link eye per se, like it was in the older systems that we're all familiar with, and or do it IR if that's the cheapest solution. But I think Bluetooth repeater would make more sense because all the metadata from your B&O radio and everything else will be loaded into the remote control.
Yeah.
Plus, you can update the bloody thing over there.
I think, like many people, I had something in the last week which was also kind of weird, where like there was a firmware update for the Beo Remote 1 or something.
I didn't see any.
Because like one of my, I only think I found this out because one of my remotes all of a sudden went into the screen like updating, I think
Okay.
it's firmware. Because I had a day where both of my remotes didn't do anything to the theater.
Interesting.
Like I could press buttons, but it wouldn't populate anything. But the Halo worked, so I turned it on through the Halo, and then the remotes populated, and they worked again.
I've had that happen in what's it called? I've had that happen, especially with the silver one. So I just reboot the remote every now and then, and everything's fine.
But that's the thing, right? I didn't have to reboot it or anything. Like I just turned it on through the Halo, and then everything worked again. And then I turned the TV off, and I saw that my Silk one updated. And after that, everything's been fine, and I haven't rebooted any of the remotes. It wasn't needed.
What's the app version you have on your remote?
I don't know. They're in the living room. I have to look.
Does it show version?
Currently,
mine is 2.8.53. 2.8.53, and database is 3.25.
Currently, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna get one because 2 days ago I've been putting in a bunch of like decorative rock in front of the house, and my lower back is absolutely killing me. I'm walking around like a fucking penguin.
That's funny.
Like if I bend over like this, right? Like I have to like get through my knees to get myself up, to get myself back up again, because I can't like just like do that.
That's funny.
Like I feel like an old man.
So yeah, there's that for the theater. I hope y'all, and yeah, I don't know. My remote is up to date. They're all up to date. Maybe yours wasn't updated in I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know. But I use them interchangeably, right? Like because this is also the first time I have two remotes attached to the theater, like the anthracite one and the silk one.
Yes.
Because like since I had an extra remote, I'm thinking like I might as well try to see if I get the weird issues with multiple remotes paired as well. And neither of them worked for the first time because up to that point they all worked fine.
That's interesting. So you rebooted the theater or you rebooted the remotes?
Neither. I just turned it on through the Halo and then everything was fine again. I turned the theater on through the remote.
So it's probably the theater Bluetooth chip turned off.
Yeah, and like once it was on, both remotes worked again.
100%. It must have been on the theater side, which is kind of weird.
I mean, however weird the Halo is, I must say, through the IP connection, I've never had like
no delays
or a drop of like weird, like it doesn't turn stuff on unless it's like powered off or unreachable.
Yeah, I've never had it stutter whatsoever.
I mean, I've had weirder issues with Bluetooth, and I'm not like hating on Bluetooth; it's fine. But the IP seems constant. Also, my theater's wired, so maybe that helps.
Yeah, mine's not. That's the problem.
But I mean, on the Discord, I've been seeing quite a lot of weird theater-related things in the last week.
Yeah, Yeah, I was monitoring that as well, but
I mean, I must say I haven't had any other than the weird remote thing, right? But that was
mhm.
only like a day. I mean, who knows if it would have solved itself if I like just power cycled it? Probably, but I didn't need to because I had a Halo.
I also found this is for people that have a theater, let's say with a Samsung, specifically Samsung frame panels, because we've done a few of those installs here because people just like to look at the frame, whatever. You just can't win them all.
If you want that art when your thing is off, then go for
And the
it.
fucked up thing was, man, if you turn off the theater, you turn off the screen, and it goes to the art mode, and then you start playing Tidal or AirPlay into the theater, or you turn on anything from the theater, the goddamn frame TV turns back on, and it in some cases it would always go to Conan O'Brien show, a specific one all the time. And I found out after googling a bit, it is the Samsung TV Plus app that automatically fires up. If you delete the bloody app, you have the TV behaving properly, so you can stream into it with your art going in, because it's an arc issue because the TV is on or the theater sees it as panel being on, and then apparently when you shut it down and it goes to the art, because of how it's in Samsung, it just switches back to the Samsung TV Plus app, which I
Yeah,
had
because to
one guy
show
that had.
art, it's not actually off, right? Like,
No, it's on. Like the its system is on, right? It's just the display showing pictures. So if you have that weird issue, delete the Samsung TV Plus app from your home menu in the Samsung screen, and that'll stop happening. So you can stream into it into the theater and have the picture show whatever the artwork you selected, but it's not going to trigger fucked up things and cut your music off and Conan O'Brien rolls in. Or I had one guy that had wrestling. Same
like
show
real
unfolded.
wrestling or like
Like
WWE wrestling.
the WWE, like the cheese balls, man. It was like I couldn't figure out what it was. Now I know that you have to delete the Samsung app, Samsung TV Plus app, or suffer the consequences. So yeah, that's basically the gist of my findings this week. There's still no update that I've heard of on the Apple TV nonsense with the CEC protocol. I don't know how aware Apple of it is, or how much rather do they care about the problem, because it doesn't really affect people with the Apple remote, the new version Apple remote interface, right? Because you can turn on and off the screen, like IR works for whatever screen you have, so they don't really see it. But anybody else that uses CEC, like we did with the theaters or LG panels, with the especially like all the stages,
I guess
that's a problem.
the only sort of update, but maybe it's not an update because it's been up there for a bit, is to use CEC blockers, which is still also kind of counterproductive. But
Yeah.
sort of goes like, well, if this is persistent, use the puck cable and a CEC blocker.
And how do you control the puck? Is it like inside the CEC blocker that it has a
No,
IR
no, the
output?
CEC blocker is like a sort of
It
where,
just disables. Yeah, it's what it says. It's
yeah, it
blocked.
blocks the CEC, but then you use the puck cable from the theater back to the Apple TV, right?
Yeah, but you are able to turn off the CEC within the app on the theater per
Yeah, that
input.
doesn't always guarantee that it's fully off
Fair enough.
because the TV may still sort of see it as on and it's pass through.
Mm,
Because I
ain't that a
don't know if
bitch?
there is a way to turn off CEC altogether in the LG, but it's also probably not source specific, right? So you may just want the CEC to be off for like your Apple TV, but not for everything else.
I've had Apple TV randomly turn on people's televisions at night and so on. Like it's just weird. So
Ed says, I'm having a shape installed this week. Any suggestions or pitfalls to watch for?
what's your wall construction, first of all?
Yeah, is it
What's
drywall?
what's
Is
your
it...
what's your wall construction? How many tiles? How many speaker tiles you have? That's the three things that I would like to know. If you can put that in the chat, and then I'll give you the answer, because
God,
that
my lower
matters.
back is killing me.
What were
Like,
you
this
doing
is
again?
putting rocks in. So I
Oh
moved like
shit!
2 tons of rocks.
Oh nice. Yeah,
So,
don't know how to pace yourself, eh?
well, I didn't notice until later in the evening. Like, I sat down and calmed down, and it's like, God,
I
my
can't
back
move.
hurts. Oh, I still need to do XYZ, which wasn't that heavy. So let's do that. And it did. And it's like, God, I shouldn't have done that. Like, holy hell.
Very.
And this is one of these ergonomic Herman Miller chairs, right? And it forces you into a posture. But that posture is not working at the moment. I need to, like, full on slouch.
Fuck. 12 speaker tiles. Okay, so that's a significant shape. But what's your wall construction? If it's drywall and you have 12 speaker tiles, I would honestly use all 6 screws on each tile where the speakers are going, 100%, and 4 on the adjacent ones. No drywall, no insulation, definitely. And 12 speaker tiles, 12 tiles, that's 72 holes. That's exactly what I had in mind. And from my personal experience on the drywall, the only screws that micro vibrated out over the 6 years that I've had it, or 5 years that I've had it installed in my bedroom, I think it was 6 years that I've had it. And I didn't listen to it much, but when I was a couple times that I was sick, just lay in the bed, so you juice the shit out of it. It will vibrate itself out of the drywall. So use metal easy anchors and all 6 on each speaker tile, 100%. And if you find a stud, good for you, even better. But don't be cheap on the screws, man, because you're gonna be finding yourself listening to it and it vibrates and what the fuck, and then you see that it's loose, and then you have to take it all apart just to rescrew, and it's already damaged because the drywall only takes so much. So
Would
do it
it
right.
would it almost be a better idea to make the shape, as in the shape on the wall, like cut it out of plywood and put that on the drywall with the speakers on that?
Not necessarily. It'd be a lot of work. It's not that it's heavy; it's the vibration, and I would highly recommend using the metal easy anchors, not the plastic shit.
Okay.
Because I had done on my shape, I put a couple plastic ones, I put a couple just the screws, and I put a whole bunch of easy anchors that are metal, and I had a couple tiles that hit the studs. And the naked screws, they were on just empty tiles. They also vibrated out over time because the whole thing moves, man. It's a lot, especially if I don't know what your wall construction is inside, if it's wood studs, but for me in the apartment, it was all metal. So the whole fucking wall was flexing hard, and especially with the 90s on the other side, it was a lot of air going through the building, or at least my unit. Yeah, so I would highly recommend, like, if 12 tiles, man, you already spent a lot of money on it. What's another $120 at Home Depot or wherever you are, a hardware store, and just get the fucking proper screws. If you're doing it yourself, if you haven't an installer do it, insist on what I suggested, because you will regret it in a few years' time. I don't know how long you're going to stay in the house, but I presume if you're buying a 12 tile shape, you're not moving within the next 5 years at least. So do it right, and yeah, wood studs are fine, but do it right the first time, man. Whatever you can hit on the studs, perfect. But anything else around it, outside the studs, put them easy anchors on, uh, and you're set. The screws that are provided with the easy anchors are sufficient enough, and you'll never have it move. But use the metal ones. That's all I got for you, brother.
I had a very weird question because you probably worked with them recently, but the BeoAmp 2,
Yes.
like how Do you use the line outs and like a single line out to RCA for most speakers, or do you use this weird green, whatever it's called?
Well, this is the amp part. So this goes out into our Canton or Bowers and Wilkins, and the theater comes in a power
Yeah,
link.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
Yes,
so
and then
speaker out. So do you use this? What is it? The Phoenix connector or whatever it's called, or do you use the line
it
out?
comes with it. It's a Molex connector, and it comes with it. It's a screw down, so you put your wires in there, plus minus, and then it goes to the speakers. Now you can loop the power link. So if you have, let's say, uh, a conference hall that you have 8 pairs of speakers, and you can run. Depends on what. So if you have 4 BeoAmp 2s, you can just daisy chain the Cat 7 power link to each speaker from the source, and they all play together. Now, the most important part is I find with the theater, I have to turn the gain up all the way. And the most importantly, disable the line sense. If you disable the line sense, it's a huge difference in acoustics because the line sense, it's only for the RCA jacks. And I know Gavin, he was playing with the idea of having the RCA jacks coming into from the BeoSound core, and then having the BeoAmp 2 also fed from the theater, which I found was a little bit counter logical because you could just allocate that speaker preset listening position, whatever group you want to call it, as just in ceilings, let's say dining room, and you really don't need the BeoSound core. I don't remember the exact. Well, that was a reason for it, but I suggested against it, and it's better to have if it's a power link, then just put power link in it because the line sense screws with the PL inputs, and you're set.
Is the line out powered or like amplified? Yes, right.
It's basically a loop. It's the same as the power link, right? So if you have 4 amps and you're doing them out of a fucking Sonos Connect or some nonsense that goes RCA's out, so you go RCA in and out, in and out, in and out.
Okay,
And I don't know what the.
so if
It's
you
the
have
same.
any like third-party speakers, the only real thing you can use is that green Phoenix connector thing, really.
And yeah, and you can mess with the gain, and then you have to set it to line sense, so then the line input turns on the speakers when the line sense, well, obviously when the
Interesting.
signal detected.
Because I recently was like YouTubing, and I've always had a slight interest in SVS, the speaker manufacturer outside of B&O, right? Because
Mhm.
they're quite good for the amount of money they ask. Because they
Mhm.
came out with their new like Pinnacle line, and this is $2.5 grand per speaker, so $5 grand for a pair.
Mhm.
But it's 4 8-inch drivers, 2 5.25-inch drivers, and a tweeter, and it goes down to like 24 hertz or something for $5 grand. It's like that is
Okay.
interesting, and they have a try it yourself for free for 45 days period. But I was thinking, like, I have no fucking way to drive these things. So what would I use? Like a BOM too. Because I have a
Yeah, you could use a
moment.
BOM too.
Because it's they say between was it between 50 and 200 amp amplifier, and the BOM 2 does 150 watt per channel at 8
Yes.
ohm. And these are 6 ohm speakers. So like you're close to the max. And I was like, that could potentially be interesting just to give it a go.
Do a A to B comparison.
Yeah, like I don't expect them to sound as good as 50s, right? But like it's they're kind of interesting for the money. Like
Mhm.
they're not good looking. I wouldn't say that.
No, they remind me of those crazy big speakers that are tilted over. Forget
But
the brand names. Too many.
yeah, so they are sort of interesting.
And they got even backfiring bass drivers. Okay,
Yeah, so
interesting.
the counterfire to keep the cabinets resonance free.
That's a good idea.
So it's sort of like having a smaller 19 on top and down below.
Or two Lab 11s, basically.
Yeah. Well, they are 8-inch drivers in this version, which is not
Okay.
small.
Yeah, that might sound interesting. definitely.
Like, and I'm normally not one for other brands, and it's not like, ooh, I want to switch. But sometimes Beano makes me pull my hair out, and I think life could be so much easier with other things for like a fraction of the cost sometimes too.
Yeah, but they just won't look that good nor sound that good. That's just the problem.
Sure, but you have like an extra 50 grand in your pocket at that point. Like, which is not insignificant, right?
No, no, but I still agree with myself.
No, I agree too. Like, I'm not one, like, I have two sets of 50s now, right? I'm very
Mhm.
much not likely to switch. But if it ever gets to the point where like it drives me absolutely up the wall, and I'm sort of going like, fucking all get rid of it, that sort of shit. I mean, and I blame you, B&O, there you are, for actually having me have an eye out for this sort of thing.
Why are you looking at this shit, anyways?
Because I get
What
annoyed
room?
sometimes with shit not working.
Mm.
Because there's no way a passive speaker like this is not going to work.
No, it's gonna turn on as soon as the signal's into it. It's
Yeah.
gonna play.
I
So
mean,
that's
what Mark says, you put a cable in it and that's it. There's this, like, if you want to get fancy, you get a fancy AVR or whatever. But, like, I could drive this from my bloody moment with a BOM 2. And it would just always turn on unless the moment doesn't turn on. But so far, the moment has been fucking incredible. It's been
solid.
more solid than the rest of it.
Moment was a great player. That's definitely it. Too bad they took out that little music thing out of it, but it's still a great. It's a great audio master still. I like it, and yeah, it's solid as rock. I never really had issues with it. The beginning with the software was fucked up when the volume would run away if you try to turn it up, but that was fixed pretty quickly, and after that it was solid. So yeah, I don't miss it, but I would like to have something that has that capability, or more or less like the capability of the BNO app. Make a tablet that is BNO-ish, and
Yeah, well, the weird thing to me, right, is in many ways that yes, it's somehow like got a bunch of stuff got deleted, but it still works, and I can still join my theater to it just fine.
mhm.
Like, you can't select it in the moment at all, or in the theater for that matter. But if it's playing, you can just press join and it'll join.
Does it give you an unknown icon on it?
In the app, no, it just says the theater in the app. On
Okay,
the moment itself, yeah, it just
doesn't
says.
know.
But I mean, you don't have volume control, so you on the moment itself. So you either need to use the app or the theater in that case. So you do end up weirdly with like a dual remote situation.
Yeah, but if you had speakers coming out of the power link of the moment, you could control the volume of them for sure.
Oh yeah. But so the other weird thing is, right, like, because I have a Mark One BeoSound 2, I can set that as its main speaker
Yeah.
wirelessly. I
Yes.
can then have the moment play to the BeoSound 2. I can then join in like the theater to the BeoSound 2, and then the volume wheel does work on the moment for the rest, because like in the multi-room, the master
Mhm.
volume works that way. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of strange.
But it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one thing that I wish for that they've done is an audio master. Well, there's a few things that I wish for. Audio master Biosystem 5, a center channel that is capable to go with the rest of the stuff right now. And yeah, there was one more that I don't know. It lapses my mind right now.
I think those are like, it just gut a theater and put it in a different box that you can put in a rack. I,
I agree 100%.
like, even as is, like, you could expand it potentially with more power links. I wouldn't be opposed to that, because when you put a BeoSystem 5 in a rack, you kind of don't need WiSA. Like,
No, it should have 8 PL outputs,
yeah.
so you can run 16 speakers out of it.
I mean, even for most people, that is plenty, right? Like, even for like cinema room nutters.
Oh yeah, 16 speakers is a lot.
I mean, I guess you could potentially make it 12 with all the internal speakers on a PL too.
Mm-hmm.
But and make a fairly simple center channel. I mean, it doesn't have to be like super expensive or anything, right? But it would be nice if you didn't have to go to Origin for it.
Yes. Make it something along the lines of I don't know, make it a center channel that looks cool and is capable. But then it's just a center channel. It shouldn't be sold as a bloody soundbar.
Yeah. The abandoned matrix integration, so what hope for a BeoSystem 5? Do you need a matrix if it's just for one cinema room?
The Matrix is kind of dead because all the apps that you used to be able to or try to get through, all the TVs in the house are now on the TV, and you're just logged in with your account. So all your content is essentially there to access. So there's really no need for Matrix unless you have, 3 TV boxes and 11 televisions or 10 TVs, whatever. And you need a matrix to distribute to all of those, which in my opinion, that's a waste of money, absolute waste of money. But to each their own. Matrix is more or less alive in the restaurants here and pubs and where you have 15 or 16 screens and there's 2 video boxes and they show 2 different shows on 8 on each alternate. But
Yeah, around
the
here,
matrix is no longer something that is feasible anymore.
even here, if you go to something like a Chili's or something like that, I was amazed at the amount of TVs in a place like that. It's sort of billed as a restaurant, but then the bar has like, God, on one side it was like at least 4, if not 5 TVs. Then every corner has 1 or 2 TVs in it, and then in the middle as well. And they were all on slightly different channels. It was all sports related, but it's sort of like, am I not supposed to talk to the people across from me? Like, am I just supposed to sit in this place to eat and like, how's your day?
Yeah, because you're always looking at the screens. But yeah, Sandeep, I think you're misunderstanding. It's for the people that have the theaters as a committed room, that don't necessarily need the theater or can't fit the theater within the decor or how the screen goes. It's much easier to have a brain that is put somewhere into the rack, and then that can power
Cabinet,
everything,
whatever, yeah.
and then just run a couple BeoAmp stews into the speakers and go from there. And I think that's there should be something that is capable of doing that, or they should consider making a BeoSystem 5 for those scenarios. Now I don't know, maybe they don't think they would sell as much of it, but I still think that there would be more than enough interest, in my opinion, in the
Surely that
industry.
reflects in the price, right? Like, you can take all the
Yes.
glossy aluminium off and not do all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they came to a rack mountable, maybe even 2U a box that's like $9,000 or something like that.
Yeah. And I think they should.
Or maybe it's $8,000, but then you go ham on all the options, like cable extensions, dongles, God knows what else.
So
I mean,
yeah, I don't know. People say, Sandy says, were people that burned with enough with the Mark One? She certainly was. You know what? I guess we all got burned in a certain way by them cutting the support for that player. But while it was cool, it was fucking cool, and I liked the cool of it. I really cherish the times that I had it when I was living in my apartment with the '90s and on the New Year's, when you just passed that thing around and people picked the music and it was fun. Like, that was a really nice experience. And I wish that B&O could come up with something like that you can share your music with people, not just by, having your phone, because everybody gets fucked up about passing their phone to somebody else. It's just nature of it. And I think that they should come up with something that is a central hub for music, not just a BeoSound Halo
Or
or
have all your
Beo
shit
Remote
open
Halo.
to AirPlay. God, that's terrible.
Yes.
Because
So I don't use AirPlay, so I can't really comment on it, but I've heard people having issues.
No, but let's say we're at New Year's in your apartment, right? And you
Mhm.
put on Deezer or whatever. If I AirPlay, a new source will override whatever your Deezer is playing. Then if
Yes.
your missus wants to put something on, she can AirPlay to the same theater and it'll just turn my track off and it'll start her track.
Yeah, that
It's,
does that.
yeah, I
Spotify
mean,
Connect does the
and all
same
we
thing.
need is access to your network.
Yes.
Which most of your friends will ask for your network password once you're in their house.
Hmm.
So unless you are very diligent and make guest networks that your B&O doesn't show up on.
Yeah. But that's, what are the odds of that? People have that. There are people that are, savvy enough that they do secondary network, make secondary networks for, the guests, and then they have their infrastructure running on a different network or different subnets even on that network. That makes sense, but a lot of people don't do it.
It's partially why I went into the Ubiquity. I haven't fully gotten there yet because I've been too busy with other stuff, but I do
Hmm.
intend on doing that. And have all the smart stuff on just a localized network that only gets access to the outside world when I choose it.
Hmm. You can lock people out of your AirPlay using the Apple Home app. Okay, that's
Wait, so
interesting.
if you don't have anything Apple, but you do have B&O products, you need the Apple Home app? I mean, I
And
guess
how
you could.
can I put it on the Android? Because I don't have Apple products. I have an iPad that is work iPad, right? I guess, but I'm not logged into it. It's a
Hmm.
generic login just for the schedule, right? So I don't know. Yeah, see, that's not an option for me. That's a little silly that there is no. There should be a way to disable Spotify Connect if you don't want it. Because I had people, like I said, I've had it randomly turned on by my girlfriend because she didn't know what living room she was playing into.
While not being in your living room.
Yeah, like what the fuck? You get home and shit's pumping. I'm like, hey babe, nobody's here. I'm like, what the fuck? Look at the Halo and it says Spotify Connect, whatever music, right? So like, okay, that sucks. And it can do that if it was selected as the last source and accidentally you press play in your pocket or whatever, and the phone just triggers and starts playing into, because it's on an account, it starts playing somewhere where you're not even present, which
Wait,
is
is it
kind of
Mexican
silly.
cowboy music that she plays to your place?
Oh
Maybe
yeah,
that's why you get
that's
all
it. It's like
that
no,
stuff.
the mariachi, like
La cucaracha, la
they
cucaracha.
play Gypsy Kings.
Oh
But
god.
yeah, it's just those are the things that I think they should consider still. It's more or less for the sake of security as well that that you should have that be able to turn off or at least clear the cache on the Spotify accounts within the theater. So whoever was locked into it, let's say you had a party and there's like 10, 15 people streamed into your theater, then they can leave and do it anywhere. And unless you factory reset the theater, there is no way to clear that cache of all the connected accounts. So that's one thing that I think they should consider.
God, it's about time to end it because I'm sorry, Mark, but you had my soft spot. With no is impossible. You cannot be with nothing. You can be without something. God, it drives me so nuts. It's also a North American thing, I think, and
What,
people say
with no
with
drivers in
no.
it?
Like, no, I'll have a BLT sandwich with no bacon, right? You cannot
Yeah,
have
that's
it with
normal.
nothing bacon. Like, you can have it without bacon, but not with no. That it doesn't
Why
exist.
could you not have it with no bacon? Well, you would have it. That's weird. You have it with bacon, but like you have it with no mayo.
Without mayo.
Yeah, that's the same.
It's not, because you
It
cannot
is.
be with nothing.
Well, you're in fucking North America now, bro. It's with.
I'll
It's
harp
no-
on this. I'm the without crew.
And it's no bullshit
It's
either.
without. God damn it.
It's no bullshit. So, yeah, that's it. With no further ado, let's get out of here.
It's without. God damn it. Come join the Discord. Like I said,
government stuff is there to read and learn. So
you can be without Discord, but you cannot be with no Discord.
You can be with no posts either.
Thank you for watching, everybody. See you all next week. Bye.
Bye.